centre. It's really, where do we reach out for our ideas? That's the main thing of this, and I guess the size of each of these blocks really is to indicate, well, actually, how big a pool is that we're focusing on. So I've talked about Mondelez, parent company, actually big source of innovation for us. They come to us with a lot of problems, so we really have to think creatively about how do we solve that problem. New technology and suppliers, there's always, in science, there's always new pieces of kit that are coming up. I recently spent, I think, best part of £400,000 on a machine that can smell your breath, which I know sounds a bit strange, but what that allows us to do is understand flavour release from our products. It's all very well knowing the chemicals that are in your product that cause the flavour, but to be able to measure the release of that is really interesting. So a lot of what we do is, again, working with suppliers of new instruments to identify what potential opportunities are there for the food and pharmaceutical industry. Academic research and literature, a lot of universities, they do a lot of work. They don't patent it, so it's free for us to go and sort of say, well, how can I go and exploit that? What is there that's being researched that we could potentially take? And I took out all the crosslinks because it made this look really messy. But there are links across each of these bubbles with regards to how they interconnect. Regulation. Max mentioned about regulation. That's a key one in the scientific industry, particularly in the pharmaceutical industry. Max mentioned about Pfizer and Viagra and stuff like that earlier. But with
yeah, well, it's going to come back, I'm sure.
Okay. So with regards to regulation, there are certain industries that, unless you've got the correct licenses, you just cannot operate in. So the pharmaceutical industry, a key example of that. Unless you have approval from the Federal Drug Administration, so the FDA in the US, and there's UK equivalents as well. Unless you have that license, you simply cannot produce drugs to sell to the public. So it's almost I guess a license to operate, and that's very true for us within the food and pharmaceutical industry. Unless we have certain accreditation from bodies such as UCAS, which you'll probably hear later on in your professional careers, and then there's sort of, I guess, awards like Good Manufacturing Practice, etc. Unless you have those, companies simply will not come to you to buy. It's a quality standard, and so very much, if you can operate within to that quality standard, then that gives you access to the market. If you can't, then you've got no market that you can go towards. So regulation really does give us a lot of opportunities there. Collaboration. Collaboration, I guess, again, sort of links in with really all of these. I've put it on here primarily, actually, as collaboration with potential competitors, collaboration with maybe new suppliers of technology. I think, again, it's something that is certainly an option for us to pursue, and linking in with other organisations to try and be innovative. But as you can see, I put it fairly small because actually it's not something that we do a lot of. And I think then we get on to the likes of customers. Now, you would think that as an organisation that's trying to grow, you would be looking to your customers in order to think of innovative solutions. What does my customer want as an organisation? We don't necessarily do that a great deal. And then the same with industry bodies. There's lots of industry bodies in the pharma and food sectors, stuff like the Food and Drinks Federation, and a number of others. So, and again, where are we taking ideas from those to innovate? Well, actually, at the moment, we're pursuing. I think there's lots of ideas out there, but us as an organisation, are we actually pursuing many of those? To be honest, no, we're not. I think finally on this slide, what I've tried to do is really work out which of the opportunities we're looking at are more exploitative. So what's knowledge already out there, and then what's with the exploration, what's knowledge that's still to be gained, what's new. So there's the Donald Rumsfeld quote, isn't there? There's the known knowns, the known unknowns, and then the unknown unknowns. And so certainly the exploration side of things is almost unknown unknowns. What's new out there? What do our customers really want if it's blue skies? And there's actually maybe that's me actually. Maybe I'm just pressing this. Oh, good. I'll get this down. So what's brand new out there? But obviously, looking at brand new, there's a lot of risks that's associated with that. At what point do you really put all your eggs into the one basket? At what point do you say, right, here's the amount of cash to just go and innovate on something brand new? So really, I think that's to try and get a flavour across of what we as an organisation are looking at from an innovation point of view. I appreciate probably there's a lot of this. It's just in my head that it's quite difficult to get across in the space of sort of 5-10 minutes. What Max and myself have quite likely to do is maybe go through the worksheet and work out, based on what I've told you, what strengths are there for a company like RSSL? What weaknesses can you see that potentially stand out? And that's very much the internal basis. So from the company's point of view, but then again from an external whole market, the opportunities and the threats for RSSL as well. So you have a think about that.
Maybe you have some questions to Alex before we start going through the strengths and weaknesses. So some clarification questions about the company.
Yeah, go for it.
You know, you're saying like you work mainly. You're owned by Mondelez.
Yeah.
Does that mean like? Sounds like a bit of a silly question. Now I'm saying it out loud. But does it mean like why does that mean you can't work with anyone else? Because you're your own company.
Yeah, it's a good point actually. It's a funny arrangement. But ultimately, Mondelez do not what they would. I would get probably either a senior vice president come and sort of take my legs out with a machete if I manage to provide any level of advantage to Nestle through the research that we're doing. So it's not written down anywhere, but it's a firm no-go. And we've had Nestle approach us, and I thought, brilliant, this would be a really exciting project for us to work on. And then I've got from